The starting point is to make sure you're on your solution. So you've got your solution selected. When you right click, you can add a new project. Now, there are over 100 different project types in Visual Studio, so it is quite difficult. But so make sure it's in C#. You can just select your platform, Mac or Windows, and then you select Web. So it's a C# Web. Now, Microsoft spent about £30 billion originally developing the .NET library framework, which is about 20 years old now. And originally it was Windows only. About 5 years ago, they have introduced this .NET Core. And .NET Core, as you can see, is available on Linux, Mac, and on various other platforms. So you must stick to the ASP.NET Core web application. So you select that one and go next. You then give it a name. Now, we can use the one ASP.NET application for all our applications. So we could perhaps just call it Web Apps. And by default, it will be going into the right location. It will be going into the existing solution. So you don't need to change that. And then you go create. You still then got choices. If you want to start from scratch and you don't want to follow anybody else's way of doing things, you can go for an empty one. But I'd never have the courage to do that. And I'm not sure what Web API is either. So typically, I'm going to choose either the MVC web app, or I'm going to choose the ASP.NET Core web app, which uses Razor Pages. Now, in fact, both this one and the MVC use Razor Pages. So it's a bit confusing. But this one is called Razor Pages, and this one uses Razor Pages. But it also uses a design pattern, which I wanted you to use. It was going to be introduced to you in App 5, Model View Controller design pattern, but I would suggest you go for this one. If you've already started in Razor Pages like Andre has, I don't think he needs to change, but he can if he wants. Because they're two different architectures. With Razor Pages, for every web page, you have a C# page. In ASP.NET, your C# is in the controller, the view contains the HTML, and your data is in the model. And I think that's a lovely separation. And that MVC model came from Java. Java follows an MVC design pattern. And there are more modern stuff if you like JavaScript, and I'm not a fan of JavaScript. There are JavaScript frameworks, Angular and React, which are very popular, lots of jobs in them, but I have no experience, so I'm staying clear of those. Now, if you want to go the whole hog and have an SQL database, I would also change the authentication. You don't need it. Authentication means login and passwords, which we don't need. But the advantage of having it, if we go for individual user accounts, which is the standard, though as you can see, there is a work-based accounts, or you can use window authentication. But the one that's most widely used is individual user accounts. Oh, I didn't know there's a drop-in list here. Oh, we've got, oh yeah. I think Microsoft are really hot on their cloud system called Azure. I used it a few years ago, but the problem, it frightened me because you start off with a free account and then it starts charging you money. And I'm never quite sure how much you're going to get it costs to have an Azure account. I think there are a lot of services in Azure which are free now, but I'm staying clear of the cloud. But if you wanted cloud,
it's the same with any cloud, any of the cloud sources.
right.
You get so much free, and then they start charging you, because at the end of the day, it is still space.
Yeah.
As much as it's in the cloud, it's still storage space.
Yeah.
It's still servers and everything else. They've got to pay the people and run the lights and everything else. So they've got to earn money somehow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, my issue with cloud is it's not safe.
Right. Yeah. So I'm staying clear of the cloud. So we're going to use individual user accounts. I don't know what Docker is as well, but this has become very popular. And I think it's partly to enable multi-platform. Anyone know what Docker is?
I've heard of it, but I have never used it.
Yeah, there's all these new technologies. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go for MVC without Docker, but with individual user accounts. Okay, and here we are. Now you see that I've still got that project selected rather than this one, so I'm going to change the starting point to web apps so that I can run it. You'll notice it runs in a web server, and Microsoft's web server is II Express. I think it is possible to run it in other web servers, but I'm going to stick to II Express. I think if you're running it on a Mac, it'll probably be a different web server. And there you are, there's your website. And it's using Bootstrap. So it's already mobile, configured for mobile work. The layout changes as you switch between tablet view, mobile view, and so on. If you want to, because this is Google Chrome, you can switch to inspect. And then you can use this mobile phone simulator here and choose which mobile phone you want to simulate. So you can get a mobile phone view here. Yeah, so it's as simple as that to get a website up and running with two wonderful pages. I think, it's there, sorry, menu's there, isn't it? You've got a privacy page, which I think you can get rid of. Honestly, I don't really need a privacy policy, and you've got a home page. But you also can register if you want, but I suggest you don't yet. But there's your registration, which will create a SQL Server database for you as soon as you register. It's as easy as that, and then you can log in and keep all your pages private. So that's it really to get started. Okay, so what you've got is an MVC. You have got models. There's nothing in there apart from an error view model, which I have no idea what's in that. Oh, request ID. Yeah, not much is in that. The system's going to use that one. So that's where your data goes in models. But because we've also got this console app project, we're going to use data from the console app project. So this web app project is going to use the console app project. So if I select this project, so here is your project file. You can see it just contains settings in XML. And this is what Kate, that's reminding me of something. Kate, are you?
I'm here.
What you can do is check your version here. You should be in version 5.0.
Okay, I'll have a look.
That's only just come out about a month ago. That's why I was keen that the Visual Studio from Bucks Anywhere was updated so we can use version 5. It's jumped from version 3.2 to version 5.0. It's a big jump. So just check you're in 5.0 in the entity framework. and all the rest of it. But otherwise, you're not going to touch this. So you're in .NET 5. What are they doing? So I'm right-clicking on this web apps project. I'm adding, and I'm adding a project reference. So I'm going to reference the console app project, which will mean the web apps project can use the console apps project. Okay. What was I doing? Oh yeah, showing you. So we've linked the two projects together now. You'll notice if you look in the dependencies, there's the project you've linked in the dependencies now. But otherwise, you're using the Microsoft .NET Core framework. Okay, now the key thing for you is the views. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for a view. In Razor Pages, it's called a page, but it does the same job. If we look at this view, this index view, which as you can see is very complicated, that is what appears in the tab of the page. What I suggest you can do is perhaps put your initials in there. Please make sure on any output, whether it's a screenshot or a web page screenshot or a console screenshot, that your name appears, please. That's the proof that you've done it. If you're working in a pair, then put two names in, please. Okay, so now we can say, what should we say? This is the main heading. Right, I don't like divs myself. In HTML5, there are plenty of alternatives to div, one of which is header. This is our header. You'll notice it is using classes, which are CSS classes. Those classes come from Bootstrap. Can I have a show of hands how many people have used Bootstrap? Yeah, okay. Oh, excellent, okay. If you haven't used Bootstrap, then go to Get Bootstrap, and you can find the documentation on Bootstrap here. So, for example, if you want to know how to layer forms, which is what you will do at a certain point, you need to know how to layer forms. You can see Bootstrap, and you can see example code on how to layer a form. Bootstrap is brilliant. So we're going to use Bootstrap. It's built in to our Visual Studio project. So typically for the header, I will use a Jumbotron. I haven't tried the other Jumbotrons. You're welcome to try these. Oh, go on, let's try that one. I haven't tried that one before. And let's change what is in the header. So we're going to have, this is going to be our home page. So let's have CO453, applications, programming as our main header. Let's have a subheading. Your name there, shall we? I would leave this link because it's a link to the ASP.NET Core documentation in Windows on how to build ASP.NET apps, which is what we're doing. So that link is very useful for you, so leave it. And then we're going to do something down here in a section. What are we going to do down here? Well, if we follow Andre's lead, and I think that it's a good lead, this is our home page. This is where we'll have links to all our other pages. So we're going to have a list of links, aren't we? A list of links. Andre's done it as cards. I think that's a bit too sophisticated for 12 minutes we've got left. Let's just do I forgot my HTML now. Let's do an ordered list, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
So we can do an ordered list. First in the list is going to be our distance converter, isn't it? That's what we want in our list. We're going to do our BMR calculator, etc. Okay, so we've changed that. Now I don't know what bootstrap thing have we got for this, I wonder. Anyone know? What can they use for lists?
I think you can change the style for it. Yeah,
List,
that's
is
all
it
I know.
list group, is it? Well, there's list group items. A list group and a list group item. Yeah, there is a list group. And I think this should be list group items, shouldn't they? I think that'll work. So typically you'll find some bootstrap way of displaying them. Let's have a look, see what that does for us. Yeah, okay. We've got our I think it looks better in mobile phone mode. So we've got our list here. Okay, but obviously we don't just want pure HTML. We want to link our HTML to some data. And that's where the controller is going to come in. I think we can get rid of this logger. I don't know, that's new, and I don't know what it does, and I think you can just delete it. Let me just try, because I don't want, because it makes that look more complicated than it needs to be. And you have got an error. So you'll see here in the controller, you have methods. It's a class based on controller. It's called the home controller. And it has methods for which raises an index view and a privacy view. Those are the only views we have at the moment. Obviously, we need a view for our distance converter, don't we? So I'm going to copy that, paste that in, and change that to distance converter. Okay, so I've got a new action method, which gives me an action result, which is going to be an HTML view. Sorry, I didn't explain, did I? This is largely HTML. That's all HTML. This is C#, and it's a CS HTML file. So it mixes C# with HTML. So the only bit of C# we've got in there at the moment is the title for the page. But we can put other stuff in there later. But this new distance converter view, there is no view. Here are the views. Here is the home views. There's only 2 views existing. But what we can do is say, let me build it first, make sure I haven't made a mistake. Yep, it's happy without the logger. Yeah. I can right click on this and add a view. It's going to be a razor view. That's why I'm saying there's a lot in common between razor pages and MVC, which uses razor views. Razor views are different to razor pages, but they all use razor. And we're going to add a razor view. We can add models, but that's more sophisticated. We don't need models. We'll leave it empty. It's struggling now, goodness me. Got 2 messages up there. Right, here we go. So here's our distance converter. Let's just put a header in there. The heading into the header. Let's put a space in there. Space in there. That'll do us for now. So if I run it now, okay, you've still got, oh, I haven't changed that yet. We looked at our menu. Oh dear, it's not in the menu. We've still got our privacy page, our home, our register and login, but not the new page. Now the new page was called distance converter, wasn't it? Bring it up by just typing in the route. It's called a route or route. You're American. Oh, wasn't expecting that. What's wrong with? I spelled distance converter differently. Distance converter. Surprised at that. Does it really need to be told? Does. Needs the word home. Don't know why it needs the word home in front of it. Anyway, if I just show the URL, it's localhost home distance converter. There's our page. Obviously, you'd prefer it in the menus, wouldn't you? Makes it easier. Now, the menus are in our shared view. We have a shared view here, which is our layout page, which contains links to Bootstrap and our style sheets. And also, okay, well, here are the links, look. So here's our home privacy page. Let's make it our home distance converter page. So instead of privacy, it's going to be distance converter. So it's going to be a distance converter. We can have a space there, that's what the user sees. Can't have a space there, that's the name of the method. That's the name of the controller. We haven't got areas, so it's in the menus now. So I'm hoping now it's in the menus. It's much easier to access. There's our distance converter. Yep, we can access it now in the menus. Yes, we can. Okay, I'm going to stop there because we're coming up to time. I know I haven't used the console apps in these pages yet. But it's not that difficult. It'll probably take me another half hour. So I'm going to stop there. I can carry on. I will do a video on it. And what do you think anyway so far?